Sure, we Kingdom Business, and we are here to be empowered, to be healed, delivered, and free. We are here to know who we are, elevate our minds and our spirits, and raise and expand our consciousness to openly walk into our purpose, our true divine purpose. And so today I want to talk to you all about what to do with fear. And so, as we already know, fear is considered to be false evidence appearing real, which means that what you see is not real. It's false evidence that appears to be real. Where is this false evidence coming from? Where are you getting this false evidence from? Well, many times you get it from yourself. Many times you tell yourself all of these stories about how you can and how it's too big and you don't have the skills or whatever it is. Sometimes it comes from someone else telling you. Many times people inflict their fears on you or inflict you with fear by telling you you can't do something or something is impossible or that's too big. And so the thing is to understand that it's not true. It's false evidence appearing real. If you're telling yourself this false evidence, then tell yourself something different and know that it's not so. And so the whole idea of this is that whatever fear is telling you to do or not to do, should I say, do it. If you want to get a new job, if you want to start your own business, if you want to fall in love or be in love, should I say, be married, don't fear it. Because if you fear it, you won't do it. But the very fact that the fear showed up is an indication that you should do that. You should do the very thing that you're fearing. In fact, fear is your counselor. Fear is your guide. Now, I'm not saying that fear is a way to live and to let fear hang around in your life. What I am saying is, if it's going to show up, then this is what you do with it. What it's saying, don't do. Do it. Okay, I just want to share this. I often hear people say, the thing that I fear the most. Oh, I really fear this. Oh, what's your name? People even ask questions. What's your biggest fear? Oh, my biggest fear is this, that, and the other. And I find that when you do that, you're charging your very self and your life up with fear, which means you walk around and you're living in a fearful place with a fearful energy. And so there's this whole story about a man that I read about. And he says that he really feared someone breaking into his home. Now, it made me remember how in the Bible it was said that the very thing you fear comes upon you. The very thing you fear, you bring to yourself. And so in this story, this man feared someone breaking in his house so much. He just really feared someone would break in his home. Well, guess what? Someone broke into his home. And the fact is that he feared it so much, he brought it into his life. He brought it to his experience. He experienced someone breaking into his home. Now, the good thing is he was still okay. He was okay. They broke in, they took a few things, but he was still okay. He feared that. It happened. The very thing that he feared happened, but he was okay. Thank God that's the only thing he feared. Thank God that he didn't fear somebody break in and it turns out to be a bad thing where maybe someone loses their life or anything like that or worse. And so the point is that he feared someone breaking into his home and someone did. So going back to, you have to be careful with what you're fearing and holding on to that fear and being in the fear of something happening or not happening for you because you're charging your life up with that. Instead of fearing it, face it, which he kind of ended up doing, although he didn't set the whole thing up to be broke, for his house to be broken into, but actually he did because he feared it so much. It happened. But what I'm really getting to is this: whatever fear is telling, whatever you're fearing, do it. If you want to open your own business, start your own business. If you want to go back to school, do it. Don't let fear tell you you can't. Because really what fear is telling you, you can't. It's false evidence appearing real. So whatever fear says means the opposite. If you fear it, it means you should do it. Let me share a story with you. So I was in a relationship several years ago. And in this relationship, there were some things going on the other party's end that were making me very uncomfortable. I wasn't okay with it. And I knew that if they continued down the road they were going, that our relationship would deteriorate and be over. I knew it. This was a fear. So what happened? As things continued to go on and I saw what was happening, I knew that ultimately, either way, if certain things would have turned out one way, I knew it was over with and I was just going to be gone. But let's just say things turned out a different way. The thing was with what was happening, just what was happening, I wasn't okay with. I couldn't continue to be in a relationship with what was going on. And so what I ended up doing was ending the relationship. I ended the very thing that I feared. My fear was that I would lose this relationship. My fear was that the relationship would end. I feared it. But what did I do? The very thing that fear gave me, the very thing that I was concerned about and worried about, losing the relationship, I took action and lost it on my own. I ended it so the relationship wouldn't be there no more. So I did exactly what fear told me to do, so to speak. Instead of letting myself be paralyzed and not taking any action, I took action and ended it. Now, that's a very unique example, but it's a very good example, maybe a little extreme, but it just goes to show you that when you take action and when you do what fear is telling you to do, because that's what it's doing, you'll be okay. In fact, I have to admit, that relationship needed to end. My life has improved, and oh my God, it was necessary. Not knocking that other individual, but sometimes things come to an end. Sometimes two people are not compatible any longer. Sometimes people going in different directions. Sometimes people are no longer good for each other. And the best thing that I could have did for myself was ended the relationship. And again, that's what I feared, losing the relationship. But I did exactly what I was afraid to do, lose the relationship. And my life is so much better. So the same thing still applies in any other situation. Now, I'm not telling anyone to go in relationships because they have fears concerning their relationship, unless that's what you're supposed to do. But use wisdom in that and get the proper guidance, because I did have guidance in that whole situation too. And I'm speaking of godly guidance. God showing me, intuitively knowing what to do and trusting what I was being told and shown. Now, were there some bumps in the road and some feelings and emotions and all kind of things I had to go through while going through this transition? Yes. But again, I did it anyway. And my life has improved. And anytime you take action and anytime you do things that you haven't done before, or anytime you're doing something that you fear, or I don't want to say that you fear, but when fear shows up concerning something you're wanting to do, or when fear shows up, anytime you take action, I don't want to say against that fear, but anytime you take action on that fear and do it anyway, you're going to maybe be in an unknown place. You may be having to go through some things. You may have to rough some things out, but you have to keep going because it's getting you to where you're ultimately wanting to go. But just because the fear show up, don't mean stop. That don't mean be paralyzed. That don't mean don't take action and just settle and be in a situation that you're not even happy in. Feel the fear and do it anyway. In fact, it's a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I believe it's by, I want to say her name is Susan Jeffers. Yeah, it's a good read. Check it out. But it's true. Feel the fear and do it anyway. And again, I have a thing where I don't necessarily care to say I fear anything. You know, like I said, at once upon a time I did, and I recognized it for what it was. And again, I don't like to charge my life up with fear, fear and fear and fear. And I like to eradicate it if it attempts to show itself. But the point that I'm making is, although I don't recommend you charge your life up with fear and live in fear and talk about, oh, I fear this, I fear that. I am saying if fear shows up, do what you need to do. When fear shows up, still do it. And where I really want to go with that is to say, I like to call it being nervous. I like to call it being maybe a little scared. Because the truth of the matter is, when you're taking on a new path, or you're doing something that you've never done before, you taking stuff up a notch, you may feel some kind of way. You may be a little nervous, but do it anyway. Sometimes you're scared. If you never spoke to a group of people in front, like a group of, to an audience of maybe 1,000 people, I start small. Even though I could have went smaller, I don't like to go small. I like to go big. But even though if you've never been in a front and spoken in front of a group of 1,000 people, when you finally do, you might be a little nervous. You might be a little scared. So do it anyway. Do it. And notice I said you might be a little scared. You might be a little nervous. And I say that because I prefer to say that instead of saying fear. Because fear is such a strong charge. So it makes you more nervous and scared and anxious than you probably would be if you just take that out of your existence. But since fear shows up, before you can get to that place of eradicating fear, when it shows up, do what fear says do. Just do it. When fear shows up, do exactly what you fearing doing, or what fear is trying to tell you you can't do. Take your lead from it. It's guidance. It's your counselor. It's showing you, do this. Yeah. So anyway, you all, as always, I'm going to end right here. And if you like my video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel, Latricia Booker. I can also be found on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at Latricia Booker. And so with that, I'm going to go because that's my time. And I'm out. Peace.